Hello, everybody. I know we're a little early, so we'll give people a few more minutes. Just getting all my stuff set up. Tyler, Jeff, Connor, I know it's 1:30. I don't know what the final count was, so just let me know when you think I can get started.
Beatrice, I would go ahead and get started like
Okay.
we've been talking about with snow duty.
Yeah,
Probably going to be missing a lot.
that's fair. It's been a
Yeah.
rough few days, guys. All
Yeah.
right, so then let me share my screen.
And we do want to make sure that folks mute their mics. We've heard a couple of people talking in the background, not knowing their mics are on. So,
Yeah, good call. Thank you. You can do that at the bottom. If you like hover your mouse to the bottom of the Zoom window, on the bottom left, there's the mute button. All right, so let me share my screen and we'll get started. So, since we'll be chatting it up for 2.5 hours, I just like introducing myself real quick. So, I'm Beatrice Ponce. I'm a principal strategic product consultant here at Procore. I got my degree in mechanical engineering, and then I had 15 years of construction industry experience. After that, I did mostly mega jobs in New York City as the MEP project manager. I started out right out of college doing the United Nations headquarters renovation as the project engineer slash dot control before any technology really existed for construction. So I was plotting drawings and slip sheeting in the current set and handwriting the title blocks on the submittals and mailing them out. So I know just how painful these processes can be. Then after that, I did a ground up mixed use medical office building in Brooklyn. That was the first time I used Procore, and it was a total game changer, especially for having such a small team. It really let us get the work done that we needed to get done. And then after that, I spent the last 8 years building LaGuardia Airport. I did both terminals B and C as the MEP project manager. I interface really closely with the utilities teams and the roadways teams. So I am definitely aware of the different but similar struggles that horizontal goes through. We use Procore on LaGuardia from buyout to BIM coordination, all the PM tools, commissioning, quality and inspections. The Port Authority had crazy quality and inspections requirements. And we could not have built a new airport on top of an existing airport without it. And it's actually kind of funny. Like most of my team from LaGuardia is now building JFK and they don't have Procore. And every time I talk to them, that is their biggest complaint. Because once you get set up in the system, you kind of live in it. It's like you get to work, you open up Procore and you start going through the tasks you need to get done. So it really becomes a part of your day to day and it's super helpful. So that's a little bit about me. Then let me just pull up the agenda real quick so you guys have an understanding of what we're going to cover today, and then we'll jump in. So, okay. So here's the agenda, just super high level. We're going to give you guys a quick intro to Procore, make sure everybody's logged in. I know you are. And then really outline the purpose of today is to outline like a general day in the life for the inspectors versus the CMs and the ACEs. We're essentially going to be replicating your current processes. So today's for you guys to learn where those processes are going to live, what buttons to press, that kind of thing. We're going to start out in web view because I feel like that makes it's more helpful for people to kind of locate themselves on the web view. So I'll show you all the tools that are available. At the beginning, we're going to jump back and forth between web and mobile just a couple times because I like showing the same tools in web as in mobile for the more general tools. I think it's helpful. So then we'll go into document management where your folder structures are going to live. We'll show you how to look at drawings. We'll do this on mobile now for the rest of the session because you'll probably be on your mobile devices most of the time out on site. So show you how to pull up the current drawing set, show you how to make markups, all the different features you can use. We'll look at how to create your daily logs now in Procore, and we'll go through this in detail showing what is replicated and where. We'll look at how to take photos, add photos, find photos, and then the inspections and forms that we've created in your Procore account, as well as if you guys would like to create observations on your jobs, we'll show you how to do that. And this is really just phase one, session one, essentially, of the tools that we've set up just in this first phase. There's more coming in the future, but this was definitely a good starting point for everybody to familiarize themselves. All right. So then let's jump into Procore. I am in your account at the company level. If you hit the V dot button in the upper left-hand side, and then under company tools here, the second drop down, you should be in the portfolio view. So this is really where you're going to be able to access all of the projects that you're a part of. Right now, we're still in testing mode, so there's just really the sandbox project for you guys to play around in. But eventually, once this starts getting populated with projects, this is where you're going to go to see what's the status of all the jobs that you have access to. So, just a couple things to note on this page. Once this does get populated, you can filter this homepage by a lot of helpful um, data points in here. So if you want to just look at projects that are in the course of construction versus a different stage, if you want to look at projects by region or by status. So just to know that this filtering exists for when this does get filled in, this will be helpful for you to find your jobs. And then the other useful things you can do from this page is here on right above the chart. There's a few different icons. So right now the portfolio is in a list view. If you hit the thumbnails, we have that option as well. I think what's going to be more helpful is probably the third option here, the overview view. And this is great because it gives you a high level summary for, and it'll show up for all the projects that you're on. Here are the open items on this job. Um, how many are overdue, coming up soon, or a little bit further out. And then directly from this page, you can jump into, okay, what are those items? So you can click the hyperlink, follow the open items if this is kind of like what you want to tackle for today. Then the last view here is the pin, and this is our map view. Again, we just have your company headquarters and the sandbox project location. But once this gets populated, maybe this will be easier for you to look at projects by location for you or something. If like you're visiting these sites today because that's the area you're in, this is a good way to look for that. Okay. And then the last thing I want to show you on the portfolio view is this My Open Items over here next to the word portfolio. So this is going to show you for every project that you're assigned to, what are the open items that are in your court? And this can really become like just your daily to-do list if that's how you want to tackle this. It becomes really useful to be able to hone in on what's high priority and to have like that single source of truth of what items are in my court, what are people waiting for me for, so I should tackle those first, that kind of thing. And this can also be exported if you want to take that to site and work with it. Okay. So this is at what we call the company level. So this will show you again all the projects that you are assigned to. So let's go into a project and see what can you do from there in a project. So to do that, you're going to hit this first drop down over here where it says Virginia Department of Transportation. And you're going to go to the sandbox test project because that's the one we have for everybody to test out in. And then this is the home page for every project. So let me go through how this home page is split up and the different info you can get from here. So starting at the top, this is going to tell you what stage of construction you're in on this project. It'll give you the address and the weather high level. You can add any helpful project links um, that you guys think would be useful for the team. I know the econ team already has a link on here for their econ portal. So when you're in Procore, you can jump directly to there from here. Then we have kind of a welcome message over here. And then the project timeline underneath. This is going to tell you the high level milestones that you have on this job. So if I go to list view just for you to see, so on every project, that's going to be the C5 start, substantial completion, and C5 end. So this is a good way to just keep the team on the same page, especially when you're juggling a lot of jobs. It's good to just remind yourself what the actual dates are for this job. Then, if we keep going down, this project team section over here, this is essentially like your yellow pages for that job. Um, so it's what are the team members that you have on this project? It'll have their contact info too. This is especially useful for groups like you guys that have a lot of projects at once. To You don't have to waste time like asking around who's on this job. This will just tell you directly, and then you can reach out to that person for whatever question that you have. And then if we scroll down to the bottom, this open items list is just for this specific project. All of the items that are open on this job. And there's kind of two tabs here. There's just your open items, or if you're looking at this at more of like a high level to manage the full job, there's all open items. So you can start seeing where things are being bottlenecked. And then you can also group this by due date, by what tool it's in, whatever view you think will be more helpful for you to see your open items in. And then if we scroll back up to the top, just two more things to show you is here on the upper right hand side. If you hit these ellipses, this will let you, depending on the permissions you have, to update the project details, the team, the activity, and the messages and notes. So you'll be able to update all these areas that we looked at from here. And then kind of to understand, okay, here's a project in Procore. What can I do with it? So if you go to the second drop down over here under project tools, this is going to show you on this job, these are all the tools that I have access to. So this is just for the phase one, the tools that have been set up for your jobs. And these are the ones that we're going to cover today. So if you want to look at the drawings, you can jump to them from here. You can favorite any of them and they'll show up in here too, which is nice. So the homepage in general is intended to be pretty user friendly. So that's on web. Now I'm going to jump to mobile just so you can see kind of apples to apples what this looks like in mobile as well to kind of better orient yourself. So give me 1 second. Let me share my screen. Oh, hang on. There we go. Okay, I think that loaded now. So you guys should be able to see my um, mobile home screen, right?
Yep.
So thank you. So let's just talk through where to find kind of the same things on mobile. So anything you can do on the web version of Procore, you can also do on the mobile version. So you literally have the same tool just in your pocket whenever you need access to it. Um, and so let's go top down for some of the features. If you're not in the project yet, the way to get there is this first drop down over here. If you hit that at the very top, this is where, let's say you are maybe a member of some GC's Procore accounts. If you hit company, you're going to see all of the companies that you've ever been added to. So you would scroll to find the Virginia Department of Transportation and hit apply. And then this list will filter to all of the projects for VDOT that you have access to. So again, let's go into the sandbox. And now this homepage is very similar to the project homepage we saw on web. So this very first section up here, if you click on that where it says sandbox test project, this is going to show you the map view where this project is located. If you scroll down, it'll give you that project team. And then directly from your mobile device, you can still jump to all of these links that were linked on the project homepage. So you can get to the econ portal directly from here too when you're out on site. So now I hit the back button. Then the next section down is bookmarks. So any item in any tool that you're in, you can bookmark. And this is really useful to kind of make yourself a to-do list. Like say you're going out on site tomorrow and you want to look at these three inspections or something. You can bookmark them so you don't need to go searching for them when you get to site. They're just right here and you have easy access to them. Same idea with recent drawings down here, especially because during the course of construction, you're kind of looking at like the same drawings for a bit as the job progresses. So I find it's really helpful to have the recent drawings over here. And then if we keep going down, you see this priority sync with that pink beta button. So what the priority sync does is a lot of our tools can be, the items in our tools can be downloaded when you're online, like say you don't have service on site. And then that way you don't waste time like downloading it while you're on site. Everything is just kind of cached to your device. So now we have a way to do that in kind of the click of a button. So if you hit the setup down here, right in the priority sync box and hit continue, now this is going to give you the ability to pick here all of the tools that you can sync to, and you can go into each one and pick if you want to sync, let's say, drawings. Okay, if I want to sync the drawings, do I need all of them? Or maybe I just need the cross section drawings. Awesome. Now I'll have those when I get to site. And then keep going through that same idea with equipment and observations. And then if you hit save preferences, that'll automatically sync for you once you get back to service. So it's one less manual step that you'll need to do. I'm going to not save this because I don't actually want this to sync. Okay. Then if we keep scrolling down, this area down here is where you can access all the tools. So it's like that project tools drop down on the web page, but here on mobile, we call them tiles. So whatever tool you want to get into, drawings, you just click that button. Um, and then we also have down at the bottom, that black bar. Here you can quickly jump to some of the more highly used tools. So if you hit it, it opens up in drawings, in tools, which is the left button. If you click drawings, now this will let you quickly jump to your drawing set that you have on here. If you are out on site and you need to take a picture, you can just hit camera and this will open up in the camera. Hit done. That'll save to your Procore account. And then something really helpful is this bottom right button, which is dashboard. And so now, even on your mobile device, you'll have access to those kind of high level metrics on your job to understand what should I be working on today, even if you didn't get a chance to look at this on your computer. So this is broken out with the My Open items at the top with the color coded based on how overdue it is, and then the project, full project open items underneath that. And you also have access to recent photos here, which is pretty useful, especially for a group that will be taking a lot of pictures. Okay, so now I'm going to jump back to tools. And when we were on web, I showed you guys kind of company level versus project level is what we call it. So there's not much you'll need to access at the company level, especially on your mobile device. But one thing you will need to access is company level documents. So if you come up here and you see the P on the upper left-hand corner. For you guys, it's your initials is what shows up there. But I'm a Procore employee, so that's why it's P. Oh no, it's MBH response. Nice. So then if you hit that icon, and now if you go to company documents over here, we have a lot of the standards, the specifications, the standard manual, and the reference documents are all saved on here. So now you can also access these directly from your mobile device when you're out on site. Say you're trying to refer to something in here and make sure the right material is being installed. You can do that really quickly just directly from here. And then your standards manual as well. Okay. Then just a few more things before we leave mobile for a minute. Um, if you hit that your initial icon in the upper left hand corner again, this is where you can access a lot of the settings on the mobile app. So people kind of go digging for that. So I just like calling it out for them. If you go to down here under settings and go to app preferences, you can pick how your storage is being used, how things are getting uploaded, whether it's on Wi-Fi or not. Um, if you want push notifications, what do you want push notifications for, so on. And we'll jump into this a little bit more as we move forward, but just so you guys know, this is where you can access your settings. And then if you ever need help while you're on site, like something isn't working, if you just hit support and feedback, you can um, reach out directly to call Procore support, or this will also take you to our support page while you're on site if that's more helpful for you to find the answer to your question. All right. So I'm going to jump back to web just because for documents, especially, it's helpful to see the two of them together. So give me a second just to get back here. Okay. So I'm on the same page where we left off when we left web. I'm going to go back to the company home, which is that orange button on the upper left-hand side, because I just want to show you guys how to get to those company level documents from here as well. So when you're at that company level, back to portfolio, if you hit company tools and then go to documents, this will take you to those same three folders with your reference documents, your specs, etc., and your manuals. So now you know how to access them from both places. So then that's company level documents. Let's see what you can do with documents at the project level. So let's go this first drop down over here. We'll pick the sandbox test project. And then under project tools, we'll go to documents. Okay. So we have kind of a standard folder structure that's been set up for your jobs. Um, I would say to pretty much follow what's here, put the information that you have in the folders that are available. But something that I want to show you is the file collaboration that you can do with your documents on here. So, kind of something to keep in mind is now that you have Procore, a lot of the processes that used to be housed in a folder, that's now going to live in that tool, right? So, like observations are going to live in that tool. Inspections, drawings are going to live in the drawings tool. You're not going to, um, oh, I see somebody is chatting in the Zoom if you want to answer that, Jeff. But so that allows you to really pare down the folders that you have set up that you need to like dive through every day to get the info that you're looking for. And something that's even more helpful potentially for your team, it was really helpful for my team when we discovered this, is any Microsoft Office suite file, so like an Excel file or a Word document, they can become collaborative files in here. So if you guys have any like trackers that you're working on back and forth or drafts of Word documents that you're emailing back and forth with updates, you don't need to do that anymore. That can just become kind of a live file directly in your Procore project. So a sample of that is if you're following along and you're in the sandbox and then documents, we'll go to project specific documents. And then here's just like a couple of samples that we put in here. So to open any of these files in the actual like web version of that native software, you hover over that line and let's say I want to open this Excel file, right? So I'm going to hit the Excel button over here. And now you may have gotten a pop-up window like to log in. You just hit yes, and then this will take you to the actual Excel file. Not like a Google Sheets version of the Excel file, but the real web version of Excel where you can do what you need to do in here. Oh, I think too many people are trying to open this at the same time. I'm going to try one more time because I just want to show you guys one thing. So obviously it's not intended to have 150 people open it at the same time, but like 5, 20, 30 works. So these collaborative files always open up in view mode. You can see that on the upper right hand side. If you click that drop down and then go into edit mode, this is intentional. This is so if you open this on accident, you're not making changes that you're not aware of and kind of messing up a collaborative file, right? So now you can see it's in edit mode and I can go ahead and make my updates, type what I need. And now I can see up here, this file is automatically saved. So I don't need to do anything. Let's say I'm done with my updates. I'm just going to go ahead and close this tab. Procore brings me back to the documents tab that I was in before. And let's say, awesome. Now my teammate is going to come into this file and make their updates. So they're going to hover over this line, hit the Excel button, and then they can see the changes that I just made, switch to edit mode, and go ahead and start making their updates. Um, and this also works for Word documents. So really just food for thought on in your specific teams. Are there collaborative files that you use like this that would maybe be helpful to just put onto Procore and then you don't need to email them back and forth? So I'm going to go ahead and hit close. Give me just 1 second, guys. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold. So just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. This weather is not doing anybody any favors. So let's just look at also before we leave the documents, some kind of fail safes that exist around these collaborative files, especially because collaborating on a file is like such a great idea until somebody messes up your work and then you waste like hours getting it back, right? We've all probably been there before. So something that's really helpful is again, if you hover over that line of the file that you're looking at, if you hit the info button, this opens up the information side panel of that document. And if you scroll down to version, you can see this is a hyperlink and there's been 21 versions of this sheet. So if I click that hyperlink, now I can see anytime that somebody opened this file and made a change, who did it, when they did it. And then kind of what's more important, more helpful is if you scroll over to the side and you hover over those lines, you can download the earlier version of that file. So if somebody does make a mistake and mess up your file, you can really quickly and easily get back the right version, which I think makes this much more user friendly. So I'm going to X out of that. And then also just to note, you can also open these files in Excel or Word if you just check the box and then hit the button up here. It's kind of your preference or the button up here. So there's a few different options. Just know if you open the hyperlink directly, that'll just open up a PDF viewer of the page. So if you're a little confused, it's probably because you clicked this instead of clicking to open in the right software. Okay. All right. So that was everything to show for documents. Now that we've done that on web, I think we're going to go back to mobile and stay in mobile for the rest of the session. So let me get that set up. Make sure I can see what you guys see. I'm sorry, I'm just reading through some of the chats, but it seems like you guys have a handle on it. Okay.
Real quick,
So,
Beatrice, do you want to show
yeah.
them how they can upload a file?
Oh,
Just
yeah, true.
quickly.
So I'll just do that on web to start because that's probably where you'll do it more likely.
Yeah.
So to upload a file, you're going to hit this orange new button and you can create a folder in here or upload a file and you would just drag and drop it into whatever folder you need it to be in. So pretty simple and straightforward. If you need to, it even actually is pretty useful for bulk uploads too. Like I just yesterday did like 200 files in one and it took like less than a minute. So depending on what you need in here, definitely check it out. But just keep in mind, the intent is not to use the documents folder like a file repository anymore. It's definitely going to be slimmer than the folder structure you use currently. Thanks, Connor. Okay, so let me actually share on my mobile. So this takes a second. Okay. All right, I'll give everybody a second to catch up. So we're back on mobile in your sandbox test project, and this is where we're going to be living for the rest of the training. So no more jumping back and forth. All right. So let's look at probably one of the tools you'll be in the most, which is the drawings tool. So again, you can get to that in two different ways. If you scroll down to the tiles, you can hit drawings over here, or on that bottom black bar, you can hit the drawings button there as well, and it'll take you to the same place. Let me hide my face. Okay. So what's really helpful to note is the Procore drawings tool will automatically be the current set of drawings based on how the team is uploading it. So, sorry, you're never going to open this up and wonder if you're building off of an outdated sheet because as long as the team is keeping up with uploading any revisions, you'll be able to quickly see what revision this sheet is on. And the other helpful thing is that the drawings are broken out by discipline. So if I hit this caret here next to roadway, so these are the three disciplines that we have on the sandbox, which we decided were probably the most helpful for you guys. So roadway, bridge, or cross section. And then let's say if I open up the roadway drawings and I scroll down and I can open up any drawing from here. If you see the little cloud icon, that means that I haven't downloaded that file to my mobile device yet. Anyone without the cloud means that I have. I can hit that sync button at the top if I want to download the whole set. If not, you don't need to. And then just kind of helpful to note here on the upper right hand side, you have the list view versus the thumbnail view of drawings. This is definitely more useful for you guys on the web version. So I would check that out. But let's say I want to actually open up one of the drawings. So I'm going to open up the R3 drawing. And you can see this is your roadway plan, and there's a lot of different markups on here already. So one of the best things about the Procore drawings tool is that you can make markups on the sheet as you go along, and the markups can be tons of different types. So actually, hang on, I'm just gonna go back to where I started. If you don't have this tool ribbon, this like black tool ribbon here on the side, um, you just hit the markups button and it should show up, but I think you'll probably have it already. And then you can go so far as to like pick which color each team member is that's making comments on here if that's helpful. So let's say I'm going to be magenta. And then it has most of the markups that you would typically need, right? So I can pen, highlight, and freehand on here. I can cloud things on here. Let's say I need to cloud this. I just pick the markup, drag and drop it. And then I get another menu bar that pops up when I make that markup. So this first button here is to publish. On the drawings tool in Procore, there's two different types of markups. There's personal markups and there's publish markups. So personal markups are really useful for if you are making notes to yourself while you're out on a site walk of things you're seeing that need to be fixed or things that you need to work on. I would just go ahead, make that markup. You can make a text box down here and then make notes to yourself and just don't hit this publish button. And then nobody else will see that markup. It literally just lives in your Procore account. So when one of your teammates opens up this sheet, they don't even know that that exists. The way to get other people to see your markups is to hit this publish button over here. And so if you guys give that like a minute or two and hit refresh, I'm sure you'll all see the markup that I just made on here. So then, like I was saying, most of the useful things that you need, you can write a text box and call things out on here with the arrow. You can also take dimensions on here. So you'll always be prompted if this is your first time doing this on this sheet, you'll be prompted to calibrate it. So once you do that, you don't have to calibrate on that sheet again. So I've already done it. So I'm going to go down the bottom button. Sorry, the second button from the bottom is the ruler. And if I hit that, let's say, I don't know, I just want to take this dimension. Just hold your finger, drag it to where you want to end it. And then you can duplicate these markups if they're helpful, copy them, etc. So I wouldn't, I'm sure you can see from this that it doesn't snap to the line. So I wouldn't use this for like an estimating takeoff. This is pretty helpful for when you're out on site and you're just trying to do like a quick back of the napkin calculation. you're trying to make sure you got enough material for this or see if the right amount is being delivered tomorrow, that kind of thing. The markup tool is really helpful to have in your pocket. And then the bottom button on here is pin. And if you hit pin, this opens up a few more options for you. So again, we only have the tools turned on that are for phase one. So these are the pin options that you have with your phase one tools. So let's say if you have a photo that you want to tag to this area, you can do that by dropping the icon here. And then, so I just tap my finger on the page where I want to drop that picture. And then you can choose from your Procore library of photos, which one you want to tag on here. You can choose from your uh, mobile device library of photos, or you can just take a photo right here and attach it. So I'm going to take a photo, just do that. And then you can save it or overwrite it. I'm just going to delete it because I just wanted to show you how you can get to it. Here, I'll do just the keyboard. Photo, take it, hit done. And now when I come on here, I can hit the photo if I want to make another one or go to select and pick the hand. And now I can tap on all the icons that I have and see what's in there for each of these. From here, I can publish this markup, I can move this markup, or I can just delete it altogether. So definitely kind of to start thinking about with your team, would you maybe want to show progress by tagging photos to the right location on your drawings? Would that be helpful for you guys? Um, or are you just trying to show issues as they arise or something like that? So there's lots of like typical intended use cases for these tools, and then people have had lots of success with out of the box ways to use it too. So as we go through this, just think through like what would be the most beneficial for your team. And then if I just go back to that bottom icon, so right now it's on photos because that was the last one I was on. If I hit that, you also have the option to create an observation from the drawing, which we'll go into later, or quick capture, which we will also go into later. But essentially, you can, if you're walking the site and you see a bunch of things wrong, instead of having to type them all out and create an observation or a punch list item for each of them, um, you can just bulk create it, speak into your device what the issue is. Procore will type it out for you, take a picture of what you're looking at, and then create however many, like 15 draft observations if that's helpful for you. So definitely very user friendly, definitely intended to um, make your day-to-day lives easier. So then that was all of the markup options. If we just go back to this upper ribbon of buttons, the white ribbon on top, and let's say we hit the paperclip, you can attach different open items directly to this sheet if that's helpful. If you hit the third button in, that's the filters. And so once you really start using this on a job, and let's say you really are using this as your personal markups and it's getting pretty crowded, but you need to see published markups that other people are making, you can toggle between all those different layers directly on here. So let's say I just want to see the published layer. I would go ahead and hit the eye icon and turn off my personal layer. You can do the opposite. What's also cool is you can toggle on and off for the different markup types. So like we said, you're able to tag a photo on here, um, an observation, an inspection. So if you are just looking for inspections, you can turn everything off and just leave that one on. I don't have any, but you know, this becomes a very robust tool for you guys to have on site. And then you can also export directly from here. So if you want to show somebody else who isn't in Procore these markups for whatever reason, you hit that little export button, the second one from the right, and you can email it, you can share them, print it, whatever you need to do directly from here. Okay. So I'm going to hit done on the upper left-hand corner, and that's going to get me back to the main drawings page. So again, if we close the caret for the discipline that you're in, then you can more easily get to like the other disciplines if you want to get to the cross section or whatnot. You can also search up here for drawings if this drawing set is like enormous and you're not sure what you're looking for is on. Let's say you're looking for a piece of equipment or something and you know it's tagged to the drawing, you can search for that piece of equipment and Procore will pull up that drawing for you. So that's another really helpful use case. And then you can also filter for discipline. Again, as jobs get more and more drawings, this might become more helpful for you to kind of just hone in on what you're specifically looking for. So let me let's open up the roadway drawings and let's scroll down to R6, the roadway plan. So you can see, even in the little thumbnail view, it says at the bottom of each page, it says like revision 0 for most of them. And then R6 says that this is revision 1. So this is telling me that as we got an updated drawing for this drawing set, it was uploaded into Procore, and now revision 1 is the current version of this sheet, not revision 0. So if I click on R6, and then now you can see this is R6 Rev 1. It says that up at the top in the center there. And then if I want to see, oh, sorry. Ah, if I want to see the previous version, I just swipe up. And now you can see at the top, this is showing me R6 Rev 0. I get this really nice banner at the top that says non-current drawing. So that way I know to not build off of what's shown on here. I'm just looking at this for reference to go to swipe down, go to Rev 1 to get to the current information for that set. And then kind of what's even more helpful, especially as you get revisions to sheets, is that you can overlay those two revisions directly on your mobile device. So, especially for field guys that aren't like necessarily in the weeds on when revisions are coming out or why or what specifically changed, this is a really good tool for you to have to be able to quickly find out for yourself and then start doing what you need to do with this information. So, on that upper ribbon over there, if on the right hand side, if you see the box overlaid with the other box on top, if you hit that, now Procore has automatically overlaid those two revisions. You can see up top, this is comparing Rev 1 in blue with Rev 0 in red. And then I can quickly zoom in and just see what changed on this sheet. So I think this will be pretty useful for you guys. Also note at the bottom here, you can toggle. So like, let's say I just want to hit Rev 1, or I can hit toggle again on the bottom left. And now I'm just looking at Rev 0, or I can reset and look at the overlay. And then a lot of times when you're doing this on site, you really need to like send this information to somebody to ask them a question or point something out. Sorry, point something out, right? So you can do that on the upper right hand corner with that little export button. And then you can save this, copy it, email it, however you need to send it out. Okay. So now I'm going to hit exit comparison on the upper left. And then I think we're done with drawings. So I'm just going to hit done. And that was everything I wanted to cover for drawings. You can also see on here, if you see this little pen icon, that means that drawing has a markup. So like if I open R1D and download it, I can see other people's markups that they're making on here because they published that markup for everybody else to see it. And then you hit done to get back to where you were. Okay. So then the next topic to cover is daily logs. Um, Connor, Jeff, Tyler, do you guys think we should take a little 5-minute break before we jump in, or maybe after?
That is completely up to you, I think.
All right.
Either way
I
is
think
great.
just because daily log is definitely the lengthiest, let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back. Just give everybody time to stretch their legs, grab some water. Okay, I see
Sounds
a
good.
thumbs up. I will try to set a timer. Hang on. Mm, oh, oh, here we go. Loading. Okay, I have a 5-minute timer set, so we'll come back in a few. All right, guys, we are back. I got a chance to look at some of the questions in the chat. Those are really good questions. Thank you for being engaged. Okay, so I think everybody should be back by now. The next tool that we're going to cover is Daily Log. And I know that this is like a large chunk of what you guys do regularly. We're going to go through it in pretty fine detail. I know it's a lot to take in, especially with everything else with learning a brand new tool. But the idea really is just this is your first pass, right? So let's show you everything you can do with this tool. You can always refer back to this recording, and there's lots of helpful support pages and support uh, references from the econ team too. So I know this next section is dense, but we just want to be thorough to show you how this is being brought over into the daily log tool. Okay, so hang on. What am I sharing? Sharing my mobile device. We're going to be in the mobile device again for the rest of this. So just follow along. Um, I would say though, for daily log specifically, if you want to go maybe make a daily log on your birthday instead of today, so that we don't have 200 people making the same daily log. I'll make the daily log for today, and then if you guys want to follow along with each one, just go to your birthday or something and pick that one. So to get to daily logs, I hit the tools down on that bottom black bar, and that takes me back to my homepage for this project. And then you scroll down, and the tiles are in alphabetical order, which is nice. So I'm going to hit daily log. So the daily log tool in Procore was set up to replicate your previous inspector daily report. So that was essentially just a compilation of different log types, right? You had your weather, you had your notes, you had your personnel, all that. So same idea, all of those logs were brought over into here, and the daily log tool in Procore is also just a compilation of logs with information for that day. So in terms of roles and responsibilities, um, similar to the way you have it now, the inspectors are going to complete the daily logs. In Procore, we have kind of a finishing step that's called closing the day, which just means like I've checked this is right. And the inspectors will also be closing the day since you're the ones that will know best the work that actually happened. So that's roles and responsibilities. So then let's just go through this log type by log type from top to bottom and show you guys the different fields that you'll be filling in. Again, nobody's expected to remember this. There's not going to be a test, but just kind of your first pass to understand what you can do now. So you can see at the top under daily log, it says today's date. So I'm going to do today's date. Please, other people pick other dates if you want to. So the first one is the weather. And if you hit the weather, it will Procore will auto-populate the weather for you based on the location, the like address that was set up for that project. So this is really helpful because now you don't need to type out that info anymore. It's just shown right on here, and it gives you 3 hour increments throughout the day as well. If you have what we call an observed weather condition, and let's say a storm rolls through and you want to just note that, you can do that by hitting the orange plus sign on the bottom right hand corner of this page. So if I hit that orange plus, now these are the options I get for creating an observed weather condition. A common thing you'll see is any field with an asterisk on all these logs has to be filled in. A field without an asterisk is optional for the most part, but we'll talk through kind of organizational expectations. So create observed weather entry isn't required. It's just if you think this would be helpful, you can go ahead, take a picture of the condition. Let's say the site flooded because of a storm or something. You can do that. Put in the time that it was observed. If this became a weather delay, you can toggle that on. And then if it's helpful, you can fill in the temperature, the precipitation, make any comments in there that you think are going to be helpful. So let's just say, thunderstorm came through with flooding, since everybody wishes there was no more snow. Done, and then hit create. So now I can see the weather that's populating from the National Weather Service and then any observed conditions. Now that's just the first log on here, right? So to go back to the rest of the logs for the day, you're going to hit the arrow on the upper left-hand corner. If you hit the one underneath it, that's just going to go to a different day. That's not what you want to do right now. You want to go back to the rest of the logs for this day. So hit that arrow on the upper left-hand corner. And now the next log is time cards. And time cards is replacing your inspector's daily report. So let's select time cards. There's no logs for today. Let's add one. To do that, you hit the orange plus sign in the bottom right hand corner and then select your name from the drop down. I'm going to be Connor. It's helpful actually that there's recents, so you won't need to like scroll for yourself if you're doing this repeatedly. It'll just be in the recents. Then um, put in the hours that were worked. Let's say 8 hours. Oops, sorry. Cost code here can be left blank for now. And then type, if you hit that, is going to be either a VDOT inspector or a consultant inspector. So we'll just say VDOT for this one. And then the comments should be the time of day. So we'll just say 7 to 3. And then hit done. And then you can go back and verify everything. Looks right. And hit create. If you have multiple inspectors that day, we'll just hit the plus sign again and add a new one with their hours. Okay. So that's time cards. Let's go back to the logs and work on the next log. So time cards, inspector daily report. So we're going to hit the upper left-hand arrow. And now the next log is notes. And this is replacing your current overview of work performed. So sorry. So if I hit the notes, and then let's make a new notes for this day. I'm going to hit the orange plus sign on the bottom right. And now you have the option to attach anything that you may want. Nothing is required, but if you have photos for the day that correspond to your notes that you want to put on here or files you were looking at, you can totally do that from here. Then comments is left blank. Location we'll get into in more detail tomorrow at our next session, but essentially only fill in location if your project team has set them up. So a location, for example, on a paving schedule, you would put the route on here, and that would show up in a drop down based on what your team created for locations for this job. So I'm just going to pick I-64, use. Actually, let's see how far. Yeah, that's good. Use. Then the next question here is work performed today. And this is a yes no question. It's a custom field that we made to track if no work was performed specifically, because this will give you guys better data to look at, like kind of cost changes that are happening. Did you actually get the manpower that you paid for? Or, those kinds of discrepancies that come up. This is a really good way to be able to go back and double check for you. So, was work performed today? Let's say yes. And then the overview of work performed replaces your narrative of the day. So, obviously, you would give a real narrative, but there are, I mean, I think it's a pretty robust typing tool in here. So you can do bullets if that's helpful for you. You can bold things. So you can make yourself like a very useful visual layout of your notes of the day if that's more helpful to you. If you think that's a waste, you can just go ahead and type it out however you want to. But just so you know, you have these text options down here, which can become pretty helpful. Okay. So then you would come down here and oh, hit save. Actually, I'm gonna hit create. And now you can see I have made my notes for the day in here, narrative of the day in here. You can quickly see what location was this for, was field work performed today, and then your overview. Obviously, it'll be longer than what's shown here, but you can click into each one and really get a good idea of what's happening directly from your mobile device. And then if you want to split out the notes per route, for example, you could do that. Or however, if you want to make like multiple notes in a day based on contractor or however you want to split it out, just know that you have the option to always add more in that orange plus sign down there. Okay. So now we're going to go back to the logs, hit that top left arrow. So we did notes. The next one is manpower, and this is taking the place of personnel, that personnel log now. So let's hit manpower and let's go ahead and hit the plus sign. So company is based on the contractor on site. So let's just say it's A1 Asphalt. Then the number of hours worked. Workers now means all workers. So you're no longer breaking up um, laborer versus operator. So let's just say this is 4. Then you can pick the location again. Let's say we're here now. Use that one. Then the field supervisor name is either the foreman or the superintendent with their actual name. But just for reference, I'm just going to write foreman. Then activity ID, this one, activity description, and location are not required fields, and they're only for construction projects with baseline schedules, and you should match the previous schedule activities log. So that's where that info will live now in here. So I'm just going to type that. Schedule activities log, and we'll say only for construction projects with baseline schedules. And you can fill in location if you want. Hit done. I filled in all the required fields. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. Awesome. And then you can keep adding however many you need for all the companies that were on site that day. Just hit that plus sign at the bottom. Okay. Let's go back to all the logs. So now we just did manpower. It gives you a nice little summary of 4 workers worked for 32 hours. And now we're getting to the equipment log. So let's click on that one. And I'm going to hit the plus sign again to create a new log. Then the equipment, you can pull the name of your equipment from this drop down that the team created. If you don't see the equipment you're trying to track on here, you can either type in the search bar, type other, or just scroll down to other. And then you will type the actual equipment name in the comments, which I'll show you in a second. But so then hours operating should be filled in. Let's say this is 4. Hours idle is optional, but it's useful for force account work. Then location, again, if your team set it up for this project, if it's helpful, you can pick location. Um, the time will automatically fill in based on when you're doing it. And then comments, let's say the excavator wasn't shown on the log. I can fill that in here. You can be as detailed as you want in here if that's helpful for you. Then, oops, sorry. Then the contractor is who is using this equipment, and that'll be the drop down of all the contractors that you have on this project. So again, we'll just say it's asphalt. And then number of pieces. So how many of these do we have on site? Let's say 2. And then if I go back up just to make sure everything is filled in, everything with an asterisk looks done, I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And similar to how you fill out the equipment list now, you're just going to hit create for each piece of equipment that's helpful for you to track on site. All right. So now let's go back. So we just did equipment. Next is quantities. And the quantities matches your current work items installed on this date. So that's what you're going to be filling in quantities here. So if you hit that button, let's hit the orange plus to add a new entry for quantities. So let's say we have 50 is the quantity. The unit is a drop down. Let's say this is 50 linear feet. Location, if this is set up for the project, this one. And then the line item is similar to how you fill it out now. So this is from the contract pay items list. Copy. Field item code is also from the contract pay items list. And then description is contract pay item description. So again, mirroring what you guys have currently. Okay. Hit create, and then you would make another line for each one, just like how you do now. So then let's go back. And we finished up on quantities. Next is photos. This is a great place to keep all your photos from that day. So if you're doing anything that you see, you can just open up the photos log, come in here, hit the plus sign. You can take a photo, choose from the Procore picture library if like one of your teammates took this photo and you want to attach it in here, or choose from your camera library. So let's just take a photo, and then you can see that it loaded down here with the little 1 under the picture button, and I'm going to hit done. And then you would add all the pictures, that you have for that day. And then something that's helpful to note, which I'll show you when we get to the Photos app, is any picture that's taken in a tool will also automatically get copied to a folder that corresponds to pictures from that tool. So this makes it easier to find pictures, I think. So I'll show you what that looks like when we get to photos. All right. So let's hit the upper back button. And now let's look at accidents. So again, hopefully this doesn't need to be used, but realistically, this should be used to record any accidents within the work zone limits. This used to be in your notes section, but now let's just break it out separately so it's easier to see from a high level, like which days did we have accidents. If you need to pull any info, it's also easier to see it as a broken out log. So let's hit the plus sign. And then the attachments field, the files would be really useful to attach any relevant police reports that you have for that accident. Same thing with the camera to take any pictures of what happened. This is the most useful thing to go back to in the event of an accident. So you can be as thorough as you're able here. Then the time will get auto-populated based on when you create it, but you can always update that. Then company involved, it's not required. But it's again the drop down of all of the companies that exist for this project's directory. And if the company isn't listed here, like say, for example, it's the public, you would just leave this blank. So hit X. And then in the comment section, you can write who it is. So the public, you can write any specific info on here that you think would be helpful to go back to later. I'm going to hit create. Okay. So let's go back to the logs, that top arrow. All right, next is safety. Let's click that. So safety is really to record any bad or good safety items too. And you can do this in the notes, or sorry, this used to be in your notes section, but you can specify in here in the comments whether it's good or bad. So let's go ahead and hit plus. So attachments, if you want to add photos or any attachments, you can do that here. Um, Subject with safety notice for description. Let's say, good job keeping site clean. The time will auto-populate based on when you're filling it in. And then the subject, you can fill that in as well. Issued to is a drop down from the company again. If this person is not in the drop down, you can always write their name in the comments section. Actually, I'll just. And here, when you hit issue to, you have two options of tabs up here. So you can issue this to a company or to a specific employee. So let's say honor again. Then the compliance due field, um, really only you only need to fill that in for seriously if there's a violation. So this is when you want the violation to be remediated by. And then comments, what they did. That was good. Great work. But realistically, I'm sure this will get used for also bad things. So it's a really good thing to come back to and have it organized. You can also like search for the person, filter for the person. So that's a helpful way to pull this up later. Okay. Then I'm going to hit the back button to get back to my logs. And under visitors is the bottom log. This is currently your other personnel on site. So for example, if the CM, the ACE, district personnel, etc., this would be a good place to just track that they're there. So you open up the visitor log, hit the plus sign down here, and then if the person you have the drop down option based on everybody that's in this projects directory. As always, if the person is not in the drop down, just write it in the comments who they are. This can again be helpful to be able to go back to, especially if it's like building inspectors or city inspectors or something like that. It's a good visitor to track. So if they're not in drop down. Hit create. Okay. So then let's go back to the main log. I don't know. Okay. So now you can see this list has been getting populated, right? So you can see all of the different logs that I have and how many I have in each different log type. So the next thing that the inspector should do is close the day, complete day. It's that black button down at the bottom. And this will, like, let's say you didn't need accidents and safety or visitors today. This will minimize all the logs that weren't used for that day. So then it becomes easier to come back in and see what work actually happened. So that's one benefit. And the way the roles and responsibilities will go for you guys is you're gonna leave the days open until the end of the week. And then the lead inspector or the PM will go in and close all the days for that week, just as kind of like another check. These all got done. There's nothing else that we need to do, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit complete day. And then this gives you a pop-up window saying like what you're signing off by completing the day. And it's saying that you, the person who is completing this, acknowledges that the information is accurate. So if you hit complete and distribute, if you had put a distribution list of people that need to get notified of daily logs on your project, this would send them an email to, or you can hit complete only if you don't need people to be emailed. I'm just going to hit complete only. And now I get a green banner at the top showing that this was successful. Okay. So those are all of the log types for daily log. I know, I mean, it's currently quite the lift. The goal is that this makes it a little bit more streamlined. One of the real helpful ways to make this more streamlined is on the upper right-hand side. You see that first button that's like two boxes on top of each other. So that lets you copy the day, especially depending on the stage of construction you're in. Like this can get pretty repetitive for a few weeks, right? So instead of having to type that all out every day, you can just hit the copy button. And then this lets you pick which date do you want to copy from. Like let's say the asphalt guys were actually on site last Friday, so I can pick from last Friday. And then which day do I want to copy it to? So let's say I want to copy this to yesterday. And then based on the day that you're copying, here are all of the logs that were filled in for this day. So you get to pick which ones you want to copy over. So let's say visitors probably won't be duplicated and neither will safety or accidents. So now I'm just copying over time cards, notes, manpower, equipment, and quantities. So I hit done, copy logs, and now this is copying all of those logs into, I picked yesterday, but obviously you would be on top of it. So this definitely makes your lives a lot easier. If you then need to go in and edit this, you just open up each item and you can hit edit at the top, and then you're back in that same window where you're updating the information. Okay. I'm gonna hit back and then back again. All right. I also want to show you next to the copy button on the upper right is the export button. So you can email this directly from Procore. You can um, save it to your files, whatever you want to do. If this is like a especially important daily log that you need to have the PDF for, you can do that. But you'll always be able to come back to it. So if you just tap away on the screen, the last thing to show is this calendar view, the blue button under the date. So if you click that, this is going to show, this is a really good way to find a day that you're looking for of like, oh, I remember XYZ was done around this time. You can go back to the calendar view and try to find it. It gives you a little summary of like how many logs are approved. That'll help you understand if you, let's say I'm like picking the 13th, I can hit view day and then now I can go in and see everything that was done that day and see like, oh yeah, this is the info that I wanted to pull up or not. Oh, sorry. The other good thing with calendar view is you can reopen the day if you need to make any changes. And then when you do view the day, it will it will not show you any logs that weren't used for that day. So it's a faster way to do searches on here. Okay. All right. That was everything for daily log. Again, just the intro. Don't get worried if it's overwhelming. It's definitely a lot of info. So now let's look at the photos tool. So I'm going to hit the tools button on that bottom black bar and then hit photos. And let me actually just come up here and hit timeline view. Okay, so I'm assuming this opened up in timeline view for you guys because I was just in here before, but there are a bunch of different views that you can look at this in. So the first one is timeline view. This gives you a nice, like, just chronological thumbnail view of all the pictures on that site so that you can find the one you're looking for. If you hit these ellipses on the upper right-hand side again, you can go to feed view. Less helpful, but this is just larger thumbnails of those pictures. If you hit that again, you can go to album view. And this is what I was saying. So you can create the albums that you think would be helpful to refer to on that job, like helpful ways to categorize your pictures. And Procore will automatically put the photos from other tools in a pre-made folder. So like you can see there's a photos from daily log folder here on the upper right. And then there's photos from inspections over here, photos from observations at the bottom. So this can also just be a good way to find things. And then let me go back to timeline view. Let's pick a picture. This one seems pretty fun. Okay. So now you're in a picture and what can you do with it? So this is a great picture. All of the tools that you can access are here at the bottom. So you can share this picture to somebody external from Procore if that's what you want. That's the first button down here. You can mark up this picture. So similar to the markups that we have on the drawings tool, if you're trying to get information across to somebody, let's say incorrect Whoop, location, and then all the other tools that we have, right? So text box, cloud, pen to freehand, arrow to point to whatever you need to point to, and you can change your color on here too. So that's just markups. Let me go back. Let's overwrite. Okay. So now we're back to that original photo. And the next button over here is edit, kind of like almost the middle button in that toolbar. And this is where you can update the location if you need to. Um, you can update the trade, which is helpful. You could also do that from markup and give it a description. So description should you should probably add a description to each photo explaining what you're trying to show. I feel like we always get into the bad habit of like, oh, I'll know what this picture is. And then you go back 3 months later and you know you took this picture of this one thing you're trying to show and you just can't find it. But if you had typed in the description, it would definitely be easier to find. Okay. Then the next item over, you can delete this picture, obviously. And then before and after might be helpful for you guys. So that's the second from the last button here. So this is a really good way to show progress on a job. So let's say I don't want to actually pick the cute kitty, but I don't know, I'm just going to show this is my before. So you're selecting your before photo. It says that up top, step 104. Cool. This is my before. Now I hit next. Now you're selecting your after. Just gonna pick this one. Then that's step 2 of 4. Now you're gonna hit next. And now you're gonna select the layout. This actually looks kind of cool. Um, but this gives you a lot of options of like, is this helpful to show progress if it's side by side or up and down? Is one smaller or bigger? What's the scale? So I think this one looks good. And then the last step is to edit this before and after. So do you want to show the before and after stamp on here? I would typically think yes. Do you want to show the date stamp of when this picture was taken and the timestamp of when this picture was taken? I would also probably say yes. And then you just save to photos, and this will show up in your photo album. And this becomes a much more helpful way to show progress on a job, especially if you're kind of like organized in how you're taking your photos. This can become pretty helpful. Okay. Then the last button on here is create item. So, oh, sorry. I don't know why that's not letting me do it. Let's come out and try again. Do it from this one. So if I create an item based on the tools we have turned on now, I can use this picture to create a daily log or an observation. So if I pick daily log, today this date is complete, so we can't do it. But if you pick observation, then this will take you to help you create an observation for this photo. Okay, let's go back. And now we're in the landing page view of the photos tool. I'm still in the timeline view. Something else that I think will be really helpful is map view if you hit that bottom one. So now Procore will geolocate the pictures that you take based on where they're physically taken. So this can be really helpful on paving projects for you guys. There is not a great way to organize those other than like where they were physically taken. So this can get done automatically for you now, which is pretty great. So I would definitely play around with that. Okay. So that was everything I wanted to show for photos. Let's jump to inspections. So we're going to hit the tools button on that bottom black bar, and then we're going to open up the inspections tool. If I hit that plus sign, it automatically pulls up the 2 inspection templates we have that I can create. But let me just open up the actual tool to give you guys a better idea. So when you open up the inspections tool on mobile, this will give you kind of the list view of all the inspections that have happened on this job. You can see there's actually a pretty helpful like status bar under each of these showing you how many items have been completed versus not completed, how many items have failed, how many items have passed. So this can become a pretty helpful tool. You can also filter this list. So on the upper right hand corner, if you hit filter, You can filter for the status of the inspection. Is it open or closed? The location, if you're tagging that to your inspections. Um, who's assigned to complete this, and maybe they haven't yet. So let's make sure they are aware of it. Um, what trades are these inspections looking at? That might be a helpful way to filter. So lots of options in here for you guys to take a look at. Okay, so let's look at what you have the option to inspect currently. And to do that, we're going to hit that orange plus button on the bottom right. And they're the same in recents as they are in the quality section, but there's two checklists that currently exist. One is the concrete pre-placement checklist, and one is the paving checklist. These are not VDOT required forms, but they are helpful forms. So you're definitely encouraged to complete them if you think that they're going to be useful for you. And we're also working out on building out other uses for this tool. So if you have a use case in mind, let the econ team know and we'll look at how to get that in here. But this is a helpful way for you to keep track of what you're seeing on site. So let's select the paving checklist and the status, it opens up as open. And then any attachments you already have, you can start dropping in here. You can pick the trade that you are inspecting. So some of these fields may not be applicable, may not be applicable depending on how your project is using the tool. Um, but for example, for trades, if you think this would be a helpful way for you to filter for inspection reports, that's a great use case. Then the inspection date will automatically get populated to today. The due date of when this inspection needs to be completed by, you can, let's say, give them a day to finish their report. Location, again, if this is helpful on your job, you can start using this. Then distribution is everybody that you think should get copied on this inspection report. Maybe it's nobody and this is more internal for you, but just to know that that exists. And then responsible contractor is just whose work you're inspecting. So we'll just say that one. Um, point of contact, equipment, spec section, etc., are not yet very useful to you guys, but they could be down the road. So just know that those fields exist. And if you can think of any useful um, cases for those for you specifically, let the econ team know. So now I filled in all the general info for my inspection. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And now my inspector can come in and fill in this info. So type in the district, um, all this general info. This basically mimics the form that you guys have currently. So which is actually attached up here in the template. So this is the paving checklist that you use right now. And it was just recreated here in this tool. So now you would fill in all your general info in here and then get to the actual inspection of that work, right? So let's say this is good, this is not good, this is good, this is not applicable. And that's what the inspector does as they keep coming through. Then if you want to fill in any like more details on an item, let's say something passed and you want to speak to it. So you can hit the info button, the blue info button next to any of the items that you're inspecting. And then from here, you can, if you see the menu down at the bottom, you can add a comment. Let's say new gauge to be delivered tomorrow. One, wait. Even if it's just helpful notes to yourself to remember, like where are we with this item? You can also include any photos if you took it especially for this question, it would be helpful to take a picture of the gauge, right? So that would live directly in this item. So let's just do that. I'm just gonna pick this one. Okay. And if you're done adding everything you want to this item, you're gonna hit back and then keep filling the rest of the inspection, just like how you would on the original PDF. If items are NA, you have that option here too. And then you can always export this inspection as well, if you think that's helpful. And bookmark. So this is where that bookmark button is on the upper right. So especially like say you're going out to 3 job sites tomorrow and you want to do this paving checklist on all 3 of them, set it up, bookmark them, and then when you're out on site, you just roll through them without having to dig to find it. All right. So let's go back and let's look at forms. So if I hit the forms tool icon over there, so these are the same fillable PDFs that you're currently working with. They're organized by type right now. And basically, what you can see on the forms tool is who created it and the date that they created it. But this may be really helpful for you for those fillable forms that you use for inspections. So let's hit the plus sign and let's say I'm doing a e-watering log. I can fill in all the items that I need, type in all the info directly on my iPad, name, etc. And then when I'm done filling this whole thing in, I can just hit save on the upper right hand side. And now if I go to dewatering log, it'll take a minute to pop up because I just made it, but it will. Oh, here we go. Construction dewatering log. Now here's all the info that I had filled in previously, and you can pretty easily find it. So also think through, are there any other fillable forms that would be helpful? Okay. So then the last tool I want to touch on is observations. So let's go ahead and go to tools and find the observations icon. And it's really up to you guys to decide what you want to create observations for. This is a really useful tool to help you track issues that you see on site. It's going to be used how tasks is used in your current system. This is basically to replace tasks. Um, and it has really helpful filtering capabilities. So like if you hit the filter button up here, I can filter by the status of the observations, by if I just want to look at the ones I made or everybody's. Again, if we're using location on this job, I can filter for the location that the observation happened in or who it's assigned to that they're holding up, they haven't made the corrections yet, right? So lots of really helpful filter capabilities on here, and you would just pick the one you want and then hit apply. Um, and then let's look at how to make an observation. So there's different types and they're grouped by those types on here. So you can see starting at the top, it's in alphabetical. So there's some air quality observations, asphalt milling, asphalt paving, etc. So when you go to create an observation and you hit this bottom orange plus button, you get prompted to create this in 2 ways. One is manual input and the other is quick capture. Let's start with manual input so you understand like what data points you're going to be filling in, and then we can look at quick capture. So I'm going to hit manual input, and there, if you have like typical observations that happen on a job, you can always make templates for them if you want. Or if you want to just start from scratch, you would scroll over here to without template. And let's say this is a concrete observation. So the type gets automatically filled in. My title is going to be concrete crack. It's initiated because I'm just creating it. I can take any pictures that would be helpful for this observation, especially because with things like this, half of the battle is just getting the person that needs to fix it to understand where the problem is. So much time gets wasted on that. So having a picture would probably be helpful. Then assignee is who needs to make this correction for you. So typically that's going to be your contractor is who you're assigning it to. Distribution, if you guys do want to use this in a formal method, you can always set up a distribution list of everybody that needs to get copied anytime an observation is created. Trade is which trade needs to fix the work. Location, again, helpful if you've set it up for that project. The due date will automatically populate, but you can revise that. If this is something super high priority, like urgent, you can set those here too, and then you can filter for that. And then also the description. So let's say need mediation plan. Done. And I'm going to hit create. And you can see I get a blue banner at the top that my observation is being uploaded. So this is how to create an observation directly from the observations tool. I want to show you what I think may be more useful is to create them from the drawings. So on this bottom bar, if we go back to drawings, and let's say I go back to my R3 roadway plan. So now I'm back to the drawings tool in a drawing where I have access to these markups, right? And I see other people making markups, so that's great. So if I hit that bottom button on the markups ribbon on the right-hand side, it says pin. So if I open that up, I get the option to create an observation directly from the drawing sheet and fill in all the info. Or if you hit quick capture, this is what I was mentioning where you can just walk the site and say what your observation is, and then Procore will automatically take a picture of what you're looking at and type in everything you said. And then you would just have to go back in and assign those observations to somebody, give them a due date, kind of like finalize the info Procore wouldn't know. But you can now open up a whole bunch of observations really easily and quickly, as long as, obviously, as long as they're real and valid. Um, but this becomes a very useful tool for people that use observations heavily on their job. I would show it to you, but Zoom always crashes when we try to show quick capture while zooming. So feel free to try this on the side. Just hit that quick and then follow the instructions. There's prompts that come up telling you how to create it. Okay. So we actually finished pretty early because there were no time for questions in between. But like econ team, do you think we should open it up to some questions or give people some time to just play around in this for a bit?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, people have been asking questions in the chat throughout, but I guess, yeah, if anyone has more questions they want to unmute and ask, we can do that as well.
how can you edit the project team? I tried adding some employees and they were not found in the drop down menu. So I just wondering how to do that.
Are
Connor,
you
do
talk
yeah, go
are you
ahead.
talking, Chris, are you talking adding users to the project directory that aren't already there? Or are you talking the project team as in the role ACM inspector on that project home screen?
Yep, option two. So I'm trying
Okay.
to pick the project team specifically um, for that project, the A's, the CM, the inspector.
So in order to give the right people those roles, you just got to make sure they're first in the project directory. Then once they're in the project directory, they should appear there to assign those roles to them.
And that'll be part of what we cover next time too.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna go over some more of the PM stuff like adding users and companies to projects and things like that in the second session.
So we have a project right now in Procore just started, and I need to get some of these folks in here now. So is it fairly easy to add companies on the project directory?
Yeah, Beatrice, do you want to quickly pull up the project directory and show that bulk add from company
Yeah,
directory feature?
yeah. Let me just share the right thing.
Wouldn't hurt for everyone to see this now real quick.
Yeah. So if you're, let's say you want to do this in the sandbox test project, and under project tools, you go to directory, and then here's on the two orange buttons on the right hand side, the bottom one is bulk add from company directory. And then you just type in uh the company
Or user from
or
there.
user. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then in the chat, Joshua Hendrick asked if we can see an example of the combined DWR on the web. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Can we find one real quick that has multiple different people uploading entries in one day?
A daily log.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what we got. So on the web, if I go to calendar, um, this one has a lot. So we got like two
Yeah, so there
um
it is.
time cards. So let's view day. And then this is where you can go through each log and see what was done. And then something else that I think is helpful to know is, let's say we go to list view, and here where the date is on the upper right, let's pick, I think we were here. So this daily log is completed. If I hit export PDF, now you'll be able to see what this like final version looks like. Oh, we just got a new pop-up thing. Hang on. Let me just try one more time. I didn't actually read what they said yet about the pop-up blocker. Okay, here we go. So this is the format that you get it in. All those logs are listed out. Big green banner at the top if it's completed, project info in the header, the date, and then all the info that you filled in.
Yeah, so as you can see, there's always going to be that created by note with each entry. So if you have multiple
Yeah.
inspectors filling out entries on the same day, there'll always be that created by. And as you can see, they are separate entries, even if they're both manpower or both equipment entries. They're still separate within those entry types.
Mm-hmm. And then the photos are down here. Um, just something else I realized I didn't show you in photos on mobile, give me 1 second, is um how to add the stamp. So sorry to jump back, but I just realized I forgot this. So if you hit done, go back to the Procore app and let's hit the camera button on that bottom black bar. So I didn't go through some of the features on here. So one, if you look at the left-hand side, you have the option to take this picture and start marking it up, or just take the picture. And then on the right-hand side, this top stamp icon, we recently added the direction and the coordinates along with the date, time, and location to the stamp, which was a big ask, especially for horizontal folks. So just if you like this, make sure you toggle on the ones that you want. And then under the camera button, you have the location where you can tag as you take the pictures. And then if you hit the tools, that's the trade where you can tag as you take the picture, etc. So really biggest thing is this stamp to make sure you get that turned on. Okay. Anything else, you guys?
Just one more question on this import. It looks like there's a template. If we need to add people who are not in the project directory, we have to use a download template from Procore, usually an Excel format. Do we have to send that to somebody in Procore for them to upload it to the project, or do we have an administrator in UDOT?
Jeff, do you want to explain the whole process on how to get people
So
into
you
Procore?
guys you guys won't be able to use that. Essentially, that creates a user in Procore, essentially giving them a license to our instance of Procore. So only the econ team is going to be able to do that. Um, so if you don't see them in the directory, you need to have them input a Sarah request for project construction, which is AWP construction, and also a Sarah request for Procore. Um, we're doing it this way because once we do the integration, people will have to have an account in both. Because otherwise, if they create something in Procore and it integrates over to AWP, it won't, they have to exist in order to create an AWP entry. Um, so if you don't see anybody in the project directory, that's the process you need to do is Sarah request for project construction, Sarah request for Procore, and then it goes through those approvals, and then they'll be added. And if needed, we can let you know when they're added, but the user themselves should get notifications when they've been approved for both those.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Jeff.
Looks like we've got another question from Danielle about if you're on the desktop and want to look at the DWR for all inspectors, how is that done? Um, do we think we can switch over to back over to web or?
Yeah, give me a second. So I would add a filter for created by.
Yeah, and also Danielle, if you're just on any given day where multiple inspectors have created entries and you're just on this screen, you'll see the entries for both or all inspectors who are creating things.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. You think that's it for the questions? I love the enthusiasm. I really think this is going to help you guys in your day-to-day a lot.
Yeah. Um, real quick question, Beatrice. Are we able to export this chat when we get the log
Uh,
of the video?
let's see. I am not sure. Save chat, show in folder. Okay, I think I did it. I can have Shannon send it to you.
So thank you.
Yeah. All right, I can give you guys back some time then, and then we meet again in a couple weeks, I think.
Yes, for those of you unaware, that's basically we're calling it the project managers training. It's going to cover mostly web portal stuff and stuff that project managers are going to need to do, ACEs, CMs, occasionally lead inspectors, but it'll be things along the lines of adding users to projects and reporting, um, not daily log reports, different 360 reporting. So if you guys don't know what we're talking about with that, didn't sign up for the project managers training, no worries. But we do appreciate everybody coming out today.
Yeah.
And we are going to make this video available to everybody. We know a lot of folks miss because of snow duty.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, awesome. Thank you guys. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Great job, Beatrice.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Beatrice.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.